started at 4:30, right?
Yeah, she said they was heading there. I said the people that show up first to the cookout is the people who help set up. Did you ever see that meme? And it was like, once quarantine or I'm gonna be there to help the DJ set up at the club. To show up to the building. While we waiting, I'm gonna do a couple quick commercials. So first things first, I just want to let everybody know that July 1st, DewMore in the House competition for 5th graders through 12th graders. If you're a young person who writes poetry, hey, if you're a young person who writes poetry and you want to submit, or you know a young person who writes poetry and they can submit, I would definitely go ahead and try to get them to submit by June 1st. Hey, how y'all doing? Try and get them to submit. Next thing is July 12th will be the next SaltPepperCatchUp. No. July 10th, I think. July 10th will be the next SaltPepperCatchUp. We haven't gotten the feature yet, but once we figured it out, flyer will be out, flyer will be up, everything will be Gucci. And then the next thing is that we are going to have the next Pass the Hot Sauce will be with Jamon Hill, so look out for that. But this interview is going to be with Jacob, the amazing Jacob Mayberry, aka Black Chakra. We're gonna wait till he in the building, not in the building, in the virtual building. Let me see if I can invite him, cause I don't know where he at. I'm gonna send him the live. Hey, how y'all doing? How everybody feeling? So good to see y'all again. Love when y'all come on and show some love for the live, you know. It's really cool. And we're gonna have Jacob on. He is one of the dopest poets I know. He was helpful in my poetry journey. One of the best mentors out there. So I'm excited to have him on the show because he is dope. Literally one of the dopest creators out here. Waiting for him. Don't know why he decides to be late, but you know the old saying. Gotta make sure black people show up on time, cause look at him, late. So while we wait for him, just gonna talk a little bit, I guess. Wait for him to get on the live. See how everybody feeling. I'm good, actually. Honestly, I've just realized that adulting is harder than I thought it would be. To all the adults out there, I commend you, because I did not realize how exhausting adult work would be. I am officially like doing a whole job, and it's like actually requiring like serious training, and I have to be in a whole administrative team, and it's like, wow, I was not expecting to be this exhausted. Like I genuinely enjoy sleep right now, so that is how I am. I am exhausted, but I am blessed, and I am grateful for the opportunities that are coming my way. Okay, you sent him Grace Langston. Don't know why you told him 6:05, because these lives are an hour, but do you? I guess I'll just talk for another minute and hope that he comes on. Yes. Hey. Wave to everybody. How y'all doing? Hey, Madison. There we go. Okay, we finally got Black Chakra in the building. I'm gonna go ahead and get him on this live so we can go ahead and get this interview on and popping. Yeah. Huh? Connecting?
Word life.
Hey, what's good, Jacob?
Nothing. I hate this world. So nah, it's all good.
What's good with you, bro? Honestly, I really felt that. I hate that I felt that, but I really felt that. It's a lot going on right now. How you doing? How you been though?
I've been cool. I'm black and alive. That's all I can ask for in these times.
Word. I felt that. I guess I don't know. We can just get straight into questions and things like that. Uh, Speaking of black and alive, I guess I'll ask you like one thing that I feel as though a lot of creators don't realize is that black culture really influences, like our background in general influences how we write and things like that. So I guess I just want to ask, how did your background influence you, and if it didn't influence you, like what steps did you take to become a writer if your background didn't have any influence on it?
My background, as far as living in Baltimore, has influenced a lot of
Oh no,
things
I
I
was
ended
speaking
up writing and what I write now.
for people. Right.
But in becoming a writer,
Oh yeah, that was
influence was MCs.
right.
Rappers were the coolest people I had ever seen or heard in my life. For me, being one of them was like a dream come true. But also, like, once I got into high school, I started to learn more about spoken word. Once I learned about spoken word, I'm like, oh, yeah, this rap shit is cool, but poetry, yeah, I like this shit way more.
Word. I hear that. So like, I guess like what I'm trying to understand is like, what am I trying to say? Like, so you know what? I'm gonna just avoid that question because I can't phrase it properly. But so since writing did, you know, your background is pretty literary, you know, spoken word and things like that. What would you consider like a poorly written poem? Because you are definitely very heavy on literary devices and haymakers and like having strong lines in your poetry. So what do poorly written poems have in common for you?
Well, when you ask me the question, what is a poorly written poem? The first thing I ask anybody after I hear a poem is, what did you want me to feel? If I didn't feel what you want me to feel, your poem is poorly written.
Word.
The main objective of a poem is to invoke a feeling. If you, A, don't know what feeling you're trying to invoke, B, have invoked the wrong feeling, or C, have not invoked a feeling, your poem is terrible.
Word.
And it has nothing to do with the techniques or the literary devices, and everything to do with the idea that I don't think you know how to express emotion in your poem. Now, after we get to the conversation of, did I feel what I was supposed to feel, which means your poem is successful, then we can start talking about stuff like the writing tactics and techniques. But I think a poem, no matter how poorly the devices are written, if I felt what you meant me to feel, then yeah, you're successful. So my idea of a bad poem is something that didn't make you feel anything.
That's understandable. I can hear that. I honestly like when I ask people that question, a lot of people will say differently. Like a lot of it is definitely like writing wise. Like people are like, oh, if you didn't include this in your poem writing wise, then it wasn't a good poem, blah blah blah. But yeah, I can definitely feel that with emotions. But I guess the next question that can probably like funnel into that is, what do you think is the worst thing that you've experienced in slam culture, or at like as a slam poet? I don't know, what is something that you just noticed in slam culture that you just haven't really banged with?
Okay, you said you only had an hour for this interview, right? All right. The amount of things. Okay, I'll try to say all the things as fast as possible and not try to take up too much time. One, I hate the way that white supremacy has sinked its fingers into spoken word, and people promote these white poets who don't have any power and invoke no feeling, and their writing is very basically metaphorical and does nothing for black urban ears. I hate that. Two, I hate a lie that is perpetuated throughout all of slam, and I'm going to talk about that lie right now. The point is not the point is the poems. You know why it's important for youth poetry? Because the youth don't know genuinely how powerful their voices are. Specifically, being a youth means many adults blot you out, many adults don't listen to you. And because of that, the youth has to be taught how important their voice is.
Right.
I am a grown-ass man. I pay my rent and I take care of a child. I know my voice is important. When I travel for a slam, It is absolutely about the points. It is absolutely about the money. And anybody who tells you differently is either oblivious or a liar.
Word.
And if it's not about the money, Macca said this to me earlier today. Macca was on shit today. Macca fired. So I was talking to Macca, and she was like, if niggas want to stop pushing slam as this super competitive thing, and they want to make it mad peaceful, then what you need to do is remove the element of cash prizes, the same way Brave New Voices did.
Right.
But I promise you, you take the money and them trophies out of adult slamming, you ain't got niggas doing it.
Yep.
Because it's a lot of money to be around a bunch of niggas. 3, third thing I hate a lot in the slam culture, this idea of self-worth that people get from winning a slam. Winning a slam does not mean you're the best writer or the best poet. It means you knew what to do in the room at the right time.
Yes,
that is all. I have won many slams in my life, and I have beaten many people who I thought had better poems than me. And it's not because I think I'm the greatest poet who ever lived. I think it's a lot because I knew what the room wanted.
Right.
Then there are poets who can outwrite all of us, but they don't have performance energy.
Okay.
So their amazing writing gets smoked under the table because I can outperform them.
Right.
So because of that, if a writing competition can be won with better performance, then what caliber way of measuring a writing competition is that?
Right.
So.
And that's facts, though. Honestly, like, I think that last point really resonated with me, because I think, like, what like losing in slam does to people is, like, we always say, like, losing in a slam is a very humbling moment, and it's a moment that teaches us and things like that. But in reality, sometimes it really just makes you feel down on yourself, because slams do push the idea that you winning a slam means you are the best person in the room, or you are the best, I don't know, poet in this category and things like that. And a lot of times it really isn't that. So it's not even just the winning side, it's the losing side too. Like, telling people that if you lose a slam, it isn't because you're a bad poet, it isn't because you didn't have the right writing or things like that. It's just generally because some people know how to read a room, some people know how to outperform, some people know how to do this and that. So yeah, I definitely felt that. But you talked a little bit about the youth. My bad.
So I watch a lot of battle rap, and this term has been recently coined by a battle rapper named Suser. It's a phenomenon that happens in battle rap all the time, but he recently coined this term. The term he coined is a gentleman's 30. When you beat somebody all 3 rounds of a battle rap, they call that, oh, you got 30. But so he came up with the term gentleman's 30. He's like, oh yeah, I beat this guy, but he did so good, it doesn't matter that I won because he did good as well. It's not like I bodied him, he rapped his ass off. I see a lot of that in slam as well. There are a lot of great poets who do a lot of great work, and losing a slam doesn't quantify how good or bad you are. What it does is just shows you didn't know how to read the room or what amount of your work stands out. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. In Baltimore, if I got a slam against Lady Breon, I see 4 black women judges. I'm like, uh-oh, I lost. How can you beat the ultimate black woman? She's the ultimate black woman. I can't. She got the swag, she got the country accent, and she can bar it out with me. I'm screwed. However, I see 5 black male judges. I go, you can go ahead and give me the prize money. I win. That's my audience. That's my demographic.
That's facts.
So that idea of, like, what slam does, but also Lamar Hill, I think I'll say, ask this question, I'm sorry. Lamar Hill said to me, there is only one person who you were ever going against in a slam, and that person is you. I have no opponents. That way, if I win, I know it was me. And if I lose, I know it was me. Think about it. Okay, so we both brought the same exact thing. mind. When I can blame myself for it, that's better, but it's also a harsh ass thing you gotta go through, because you really gotta go, damn, I'm not good enough. Or it's not that you're not good enough, but I gotta prepare hard, though you feel like you can put your heart up. So that could be a very stressful. But
Hello?
yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Did I lose connection?
For a second there, but I everything was clear down here. I can hear you and see you now clearly.
Okay, cool. My bad.
No
But yeah,
problem.
no, 100% agree. And I think like that's another thing that's encompassing losing, and something that I'm learning in the not only the youth slam world, but as a person coming out of the youth slam world and going into the adult slam world, like learning that like there is no, when it comes to like slam poetry, there is no, oh, this person beats you because they're better, this person beats you because this and that. It really is just about like what we bring as individuals, and like holding ourselves to a certain standard. And like I know like you hold your youth to a very, very high standard, and not even in like a like dictator type of way, but like what do you think about you, like the critiques towards the standards you hold your youth towards? Because I know a lot of people like I talk to Cray and De Niro and Delicia all the time, and they talk about our different teaching experiences and our different mentorship experiences, and how like I definitely see like how you definitely held them to be the best writers and performers and poets that they could be. So like what do you feel about the critiques toward that idea of like holding yourself like that?
So a couple years ago, more than a couple years ago, I'm very old. A student of mine, he once looked at me before he graduated. He said, "One day I'm going to outdo you." And I laughed at him. And he was like, "You don't believe I can outdo you?" I said, "Your bar is very low. You're trying to outdo me. I'm trying to outdo Jay-Z. I'm trying to outdo Eminem." I always believe that you should chase higher than what you are. My students, I don't hold them to the standards of youth poets. I hold them to the standards of adult poets. I want them to be good enough to compete against me or any other adult in this nation. But to hold them to the standard, I can't let them write 3 minute and 30-second poems like Stupid Straight Voice. I can't let them think slam to sleep. I can't let them go out there. I need the best for them. Why do I need the best for them? Because if they lose, it is my fault. If they do not succeed, it is my fault. So in order for me to not feel bad about putting these kids in this position where they can't win, I have to do everything in my power to get that win out of them. Even if that means push-ups with encyclopedias on your back so you can know the weight of your words. Even if that means running up and down the stairs 60 times and then performing your poem perfectly to teach you how to get on the writer's block. Not writer's block. What's the thing when we're on stage and stage fright? And because what happens when you're on stage, you get stage fright. Your heart starts pumping, you can't breathe. Same thing after you run for a while. So teaching somebody how to run up and down stairs and perform their poems stops the stage fright, because it's like, oh, you have to learn to perform your heart pumping and stuff like that.
Right.
But that being said, I think it's always important to push y'all to be the best, because if you train in hell when you got to step on a stage, it's the easiest thing you've ever done. It's the easiest thing you've ever done. Like, I remember the first year Baltimore won Brave New Voices, Trey, De Niro, and Muhammad Nate's team, 3-4 Woodlawn. And I asked Trey, was she nervous about being on final stage? She said, I've definitely always on final stage. Why would I be nervous? That's what I trained for. So that's one of the reasons that I'm always like sort of harsh with the youth and stuff like that. Because I want them to be the absolute best poets they can be. If they're this good now, ain't no youth poet I got that ain't better than I was when I was a teenager. You included. If you went against Jacob Mayberry as a teenager in a poetry slam, you would smoke me like a pack of Marlboros. No question. Not a debate. Easily can admit that. Easily can admit that. Now, I'm hoping one day when people like Craig and Delicia are teaching youth poets, and they need a bunch of youth poets who can smoke that, but you have to cultivate it so that y'all can get championship from this, so y'all can get notoriety from this. All that's important to me.
Word. Absolutely, 100% agree, bro. Honestly, like, yeah, I ain't never say that I agree, but like, you mentioned talking about like the publicity and the notoriety and the money from things like that. So one thing I've always noticed about you, Jacob, is like you are always yourself whenever you go places. You are yourself when you walk into whether it'll be if you going into Congress or you going into the hood. You have always been yourself, and I feel like a lot of Black poets feel like they have to sacrifice a part of their identity to fit into the slam world, to fit into the professional writer world, to fit into the professional poet world, and things like that. So, like, what advice can you give to like remain yourself and never sacrifice your identity and still be able to make money and still feel like people accept you for yourself when you go into space like that? Because I honestly get that way too, where like I'll go into predominantly white spaces as a writer and I'll feel like I have to like change my accent. I'll feel like I have to speak to them a certain way and things like that, so I'm not perceived as some type of way I don't want to be perceived as.
Compromise nothing. And in the places where you must compromise, only do it when you absolutely have to. The only time I'm at my best behavior is when I'm representing my youth. If I'm just representing Jacob Mayberry and speaking for me, what sense does it make to go on the stage and be my most honest, authentic self, but then when I'm around people, just act fake, be a different person, be a different poet, lack the communication and the ability to be real amongst people? No, I won't do it. I won't do it. My poetry is authentically and unapologetically Black, and I will be the exact same thing. It don't make no sense to me for my poetry to be this and for me to be this. I can't have that, and I won't have that. So because of that, I work very hard to be the most niggerish Baltimore representative that I can be, because that is who the hell I am. Word. And if people don't like it, beat me.
Word. Hello?
Yeah, I hear you.
We still good? Okay. We want to make sure we still good. Okay, I feel that. I guess like it always feels like to make money and to be like financially happy too, because that's such an important thing. A lot of youth don't make money from their art. A lot of people do get free art from the youth, unfortunately. And like people feel like to be successful financially and to get the bigger opportunities, to get into the mayor's office or to get, I don't know, YPL or all these other things, they feel like they have to be like this super professional individual while doing it, or they won't make the money or they'll lose the financial opportunities. So like, have you found that even with being yourself, like you've still been offered the opportunities and you've still been offered the finance and things like that?
There are many opportunities that will not be granted to me. And it's not just because of how I act outside my poems, it's the type of poetry I write. I'm going to be real with you. When you write like Rudy, who writes very well, but his poetry is very palatable. Rudy writes in a manner that white people can swallow, that politicians can swallow. It doesn't offend them. It makes them think. My poetry is specifically and intentionally for Black people, representative of the plight of Black people, and insulting to white people. That is what I desire to sound like. That is how I desire to write. And because of that, there are many opportunities that will never be open to me, because I'm DMX in a room full of Maya Angelou's. Tyson is saying there's something wrong with the connection. Give me about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Got you.
Okay, I guess there was connection issues. I heard him well, but I guess there was connection issues I wasn't saying, but so I apologize for that. But he'll be back on. He was spitting facts while he was on. So once we get to 5 minutes, we gonna hopefully everything gonna be rocking and rolling. How we feeling about Jacob? I tell y'all, this man got a special place in my heart personally. Like, just like the idea of being able to be yourself completely and the ability to just like always live up to your truest self and push people to be their truest self while making money, while being happy, while doing poetry, while advocating for voices. Like, that's a powerful thing personally, and it is important to me as someone who is as a black woman, for real. Like, even black women and black men can relate on that front of where we feel like the world doesn't treat us like we're enough. And so it's beautiful to find a black man who treats all black children, no matter who they are, what they believe in, what they don't believe in, as individuals. So yeah, if you don't follow Jacob already, if you don't know Jacob, I'm gonna need you to go ahead and go on all his socials. I'm gonna need you to go ahead and listen to his poetry online, because he is powerful, bro. Literally one of the best people in the game, for real. Like, so yeah, it's not been 5 minutes. I have a hard time talking continuously because I just don't be talking that much. But I'm gonna try and rock with y'all for the 5 minutes he gonna be away. Be patient. I'm sorry about the things that have happened. Langston said that he's the poetry version of the movie Whiplash if it was set in Baltimore. Black Whiplash. I don't know that movie, Langston. You're old, so stop bringing up those old references, because I don't know what you're talking about. It's like, no. Let me stop playing with Langston. I appreciate your wisdom, even if I don't know what it means. Hey, De Niro. Gonna wait to De Niro. One of Jacob's poetry children, actually, because we were just talking about the experience of Jacob's children's and mentors and mentees and things like that. So yeah, hopefully you know what I'm saying, he'll explain when he comes back. Okay, so 2 old people gonna explain to me an old people thing. Okay, I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying, always like that, old people telling me old people things. It's like, let me stop playing with my mentors for they straight, you know what I'm saying? For they get on me, because they could all beat me lyrically. So let me chill out, because I might have the old jokes, but they got the bars, so I can't really say nothing. Grandpa Langston, exactly. But he's our grandpa. He's our collective grandfather. I also noticed that what was I gonna say that I noticed? I noticed that y'all was flaming his what's the name in the chat? Y'all was flaming his connection in the chat. Somebody said his connection was eating ramen noodles because it was struggling, and ice sandwiches. What's wrong with y'all? Why do y'all say stuff like that? Y'all ain't have to get on my man's information like that. I'm in my 40s, yo. Dang, people think you in your 40s, Langston? That's because you make references to everything from like the early 70s and 80s. Like, we know you're not that old, but it's just like every reference you make is so out there and like always from like an obscure 80s show. So it's like you set yourself up. Like, Langston will be like, oh, this is just like that one time in the 12th episode of the 2nd season of this show from 1979, and it's a show that wasn't on anything, but you can find the VHS in the land of in the highest, tallest mountain in Africa and things like that, blah blah blah. And it will be like, Langston, no one knows what you're talking about. Madison Doll was 44. Dang, Madison, how you gonna do your own father like that? No, I knew Langston wasn't around my parents' age. He just, I don't know. He got the wisdom of a million people, so it's hard to believe. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. What kind of daughter? Langston, you gotta disown her as a daughter. Kima, your Wi-Fi eating shrimp and oodles and noodles. What you mean? My Wi-Fi is fine. But I'm in the car right now, so I'm on data, so maybe that's why. Now, I don't appreciate that. You're a college student, so you know what it's like to eat shrimp oodles and noodles. So let's not start. Don't forget. Don't make me humble you in this chat, De Niro. is struggling. We all struggling. We gonna struggle together. While we wait for Jacob to get back in this chat, so y'all just gonna have to deal with it, okay? There we go. Okay, we got him back. All right, we got him back.
This better?
Hey, there we go.
How's the connection now?
The connection is cool for me. Everybody in the chat, let me see how the connection is for you. Everybody just let me know how y'all feeling about this connection. It's fine for me. I mean, if it's not working for the chat, I don't know what to tell y'all. We just gonna have to keep it pushing because we only got 30 more minutes in this live. So now, I mean, I'm trying to hear this man spit some more facts. So we're just gonna see what the chat feeling like. And if people saying it's cool, we gonna keep it pushing. If it's not, we still gonna keep it pushing because I don't know what to tell y'all. I can hear him just fine. All right, well, we're gonna assume that everything is cool. So we left off at financially trying to make it in the poetry world, and how sometimes you won't necessarily get all the opportunities and things like that. But so I guess the next question can be, how do you feel when you don't get those opportunities? Does it ever feel like a sad thing, or does it feel like an upsetting thing, or things like that? Like, how do you keep it pushing as a poet who continues to authentically be themselves even when the world doesn't like it?
I recognize that I'm doing something for my people, so I don't get that upset about it. Two, I'm making a good amount of money that supports me. I'm making way more money from my art than I ever thought was possible, and that's all that matters to me. I have enough to feed myself. I have enough to feed my goddaughter, which is those are the things that are important to me. Everything else is tertiary. But also, I have ideas that I work on and that I'm building, and for me, those things are what I'm going to use to stay sustainable. And once I gather those things, it won't matter. So I have this nickname for Lil Wayne. I call him a bright idea rapper. Why do I call Lil Wayne a bright idea rapper? Every time Lil Wayne has a stint in his career where he's kind of like on the decline, he has a bright idea. Like, there was a time period where Lil Wayne was making rock music. He went from like being a violent gangster blood to like a punk rocker, and then he was on the swag rap. Before that, he was on Everybody's Remix. Wayne evolved. And in spoken word, what I always try to do is, like, whatever's the next thing, I try to push that. I try to become that. I started challenging people to one-on-one slam. Why? Not because I'm a cocky asshole, because nobody was doing it. And now I look at flyers all across America with different poets doing one-on-one slams, going against each other. It's just how it works sometimes. And some of the ideas and the new things that I'm cultivating in spoken word, I'm going to make money off of very soon. Blessed be to God. So because of that, it doesn't matter what people don't want from me. When I create my own lane, it doesn't matter what they have. I have my own.
Word. And that's beautiful, honestly. That's kind of why I want to, like, not drop out of school, because stay in school, kids, it's important, whatever, but just, like, the ability to, like, literally make your own direction has always been a dream of mine. So that's beautiful, for real. I hope to achieve that, honestly.
And you can. And I'll tell you this, both school and this are hard. Like, I don't know how much easier this would be if I had actually, because I started young. Like, I dropped out of college and was like, I'm going for this poetry shit. But I dropped out of college with the purpose of, like, I'm going for this poetry shit. And I've been running full speed since then. And that's not easy for everybody.
Right.
That I have no great job or no college degree to lean on. If poetry don't work, I don't have no plan B. I only got this. And because of that, that puts me in very difficult situations sometimes financially. And that ain't easy for everybody. And I don't discourage nobody from an education. However, if you feel it's the life for you, then do it. Because school wasn't it for me. but that's just me specifically. So I was like, no, I need to go become a master poet, which is the dumbest thing I ever said to myself, but somehow that shit worked.
Right. Word. I mean, I think that even if it is silly at first, like I think like it really is just about the constant determination and the push, like the drive to do what you want to do. Like I'm in that like purgatory of like not being in school and seeing what opportunities out there when it comes to school at the same time. So yeah, I think it's definitely like important that more people talk about that, because I think like people always want you to have a plan B too. That's the thing. Like my parents, which is not, it's not a bad idea to have a plan B, but it's just sometimes that's not how life works out for everybody. And I want people to be more realistic to young people and say, this isn't going to work out for you all the time, but as long as the lane that you want to work out, you constantly push for it, things will work. So yeah, I don't know. It's confusing as a young person, but it's confusing for adults too. What I'm realizing is that adults don't have stuff figured out. They just know how to hide that they don't have stuff figured out for real.
Facts.
But yeah, okay, next question I guess I have is what do you think was the most humbling experience that you've had in your, I don't want to say entire like poetry experience, but like I guess the slam world? Like what do you think is one thing that you just took away and you had to sit back and look at life and be like, whoa, like this shook me up a little bit?
2017 was the first year I ever did an underground slam. In National Poetry Slam competitions, they have this thing called the New Pick. In the New Pick, what everybody does is put in $150 till the pot gets, nice and big. It's like 16 poets. It's going to be down to 2, and whoever wins gets that pot of $1,600 or however much you put in. That being said, when we did it in the South, I won. It was pretty vicious. It put a lot of people on to me. It was a really good day for me. However, we did it in Chicago. I made it to the finals, me and another poet. This poet read off their phone and stumbled their piece while off their phone. And even though it sounded like the room made more noise for me, they chose them. And because of that, I haven't done a New Pick since then. As a matter of fact, I started challenging people to one-on-ones because I knew I could win New Picks. But either way, what I learned in that moment is it doesn't matter how good you are in a room full of people that don't like you. It doesn't matter how all that kumbaya, I love my poet shit, like that's beautiful and all, but poets are still fucking humans, pardon my language. Poets are still humans, and humans have biases, and humans have dislikes, and humans have problems with other people that they never even told you that they had. And combating that shit is just quite honestly exhausting. Yeah. It's exhausting. It's one thing that I already got to go into the slam with my message and my purpose and my writing and my performance and all that stuff. But I also got to get in here mindful of the fact that you niggas might not like me. That was a very humbling moment. It taught me a lot. It taught me a whole lot about poetry. It taught me a whole lot about the world and my place in it as a poet. Because sometimes the objective of the poet you think is going to match the objective of the mission of others, but it sometimes gets you not liked. And I had to ask myself for a very long time, am I okay with being a poet that's not liked? Man, let me tell you something. When you go around challenging motherfuckers to one-on-one, people start to get this idea. People got this idea that you're this cocky bastard. The truth is that I'm not. I have more self-doubt issues than many, many human beings. I just do a really good job of hiding it behind great lyricism. That being said, I was aware that that was what people were going to think, and I went for it anyway. And because of that, yeah, people have their opinions of you. So I would say the most humbling thing I've learned in spoken word is that you have to rise above what people think of you. If I let what people think of me affect me, I wouldn't win a single competition. There are so many people who are just sitting there cheering you on and love you and want to see you prosper and do well. And for every one of them, there's 6 people behind them. The same poets who said they were there for support. There are 6 poets behind them who were like, I hope that nigga lose. Not because you did anything wrong to them, but simply because they're tired of seeing you win. And that's very humbling to be hated
No, honestly.
by your peers.
Yeah, that's honestly been not to reduce your experience, but that's definitely been what I felt has been a collective Baltimore experience, like collective Baltimore poetry experience. Like, it's always nice going to the events with people and things like that. It's always nice to go to BNV and, Hyperbole and all these other great places. But sometimes it really does feel like the audience does not bank with you. Like, sometimes it does not feel like, you're not making friends or you're not meeting a group of people outside of Baltimore because it feels like people just genuinely don't like you. And it's like it really is so important to remember, like you said, poets are humans and you will have humans who do not like you. And it's just, and like you said, it's not even because we even done anything wrong. It's just generally because you're winning and people just do not like that for some reason. So that resonates with me for sure. Like, and it is humbling too. Honestly, I don't think anybody told about the 2019 experience we had in Brave New Voices, but it was an extremely humbling thing. But yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. So
one time when I was coaching Woodlawn, it would be other schools who would come up to them and say smart slurs or like, we're gonna kick y'all ass this year and stuff like that. And I instructed everybody at Woodlawn to say nothing. When kids come up to you and say something insulting or rude, you say nothing. Right. And I remember Delicia once was like, why do I got to put up with this? Why do I got to say nothing? I said, Delicia, you're going to win. That's going to say everything you needed to say.
Right.
You don't need to say anything when you come to win. The winning is what you have to say. That is your statement. My statement is this. I won.
Right.
And sometimes that's just got to be it. Because if you lower yourself to that level of hating people because they're successful, I swear to God, I've shaken hands with everybody who's ever beaten me in a poetry competition. And I didn't do it grudgingly. I did it because they deserved it. And I can't put myself at very low level of
Word, and that's respectable. Cause that's commendable. Cause I don't know, I'm still learning how to not be salty after.
It's a process. It's a process, and it's not an easy one.
Word, for real. All right. Well, I guess the next question I'm gonna ask you is like, since we're talking about like being public and like being, in the slam world and things like that, when you post poems on social media or when you just have poems out in general, like your reaction and things like that, the reaction you get to poems like that, is there times where you feel like being a public writer leads to disingenuity, leads to a ingenuine audience? Like, do you ever feel like there are times where people will like your poetry behind malice, or not like your poetry with like intent behind it and not because they genuinely like you as a writer or things like that? Have you ever had an experience with things like that?
All the time. I meet disingenuine people in the poetry world, which seems like every single day. And they don't know how to control it. Some of them don't even realize how disingenuous they're being. Some of them think that by saying that they like someone they don't like, that they're being genuine. But in actuality, it's like, no, you're being disingenuine and you're trying to do it while fighting your disingenuity, and it's not working. It's not working. But also, what's worse than the disingenuine? Because you know what? I don't even mind somebody who will lie to me about liking my art. That's fine. What messes me up is the people who blatantly just are rude. I've gone to shake a poet's hand and they looked at me.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, I have no transphobic, homophobic poetry. I've never said anything sexist on my Facebook or my poems. I'm just like, what have I done to get canceled by this person like this? What have I said or done that has made this person view me like this, that I didn't deserve a handshake And it's crazy. Everybody on that team I shook hands with, and they looked at me, and I'm just like, maybe I'm just a cisgendered male, and that's enough. And I can get that's cool. Cisgender males are trash. Men suck. Men are horrible. But I'll take the disingenuine people all the time because at least they care enough to lie.
That's powerful. That puts it into perspective, really, because like sometimes some people will say, I might have at first, before you said that, I might have at first said I prefer people to just be straight up to me, but it is like I don't think people realize the impact they have when they do certain things like that, because as a poet, I don't think people realize writers are sensitive, and then not even in the sense that we cry a lot, not in the sense that we do a lot of like sad emo things, but just in the sense that we are aware of the world around us. We are aware of environments, of our people, of things around us. So that's what makes us writers, is we're constantly viewing the world around us and having to put our thoughts onto paper or onto pen or onto notes or whatever else. So it's so important to remember, like, writers are sensitive. So when you enter a space like that, and not to, say that we got to worry about and like coddle people's feelings and make sure we don't trigger them or whatever else, but just to like be respectful and be considerate of that. We are all writers and we all have emotions, and we are all extremely aware of when somebody doesn't bang with us. So yeah, I hear that for real. Langston, oh my God. All right. He wanted me to ask this question so bad. He made a real elderly reference earlier, and I didn't understand what it means. What is Whiplash? What is a movie? What is it?
Whiplash is a movie. It's one of my favorite films. In it, it depicts a teacher who is very ruthless. The most ruthless, I'm talking about assault the student ruthless. Dang. And he is vicious and he is unkind, but he does what he does to pull the best out of his student. And the student is this kid who puts up with all this punishment and this craziness. And what he becomes because of it was like the teacher's plan the whole time. It's really sick. And I don't know, sometimes I watch that movie, I'm the teacher and I'm the student. And it relates to me and how I treat the women. Now, I ain't never assaulted nobody. Well, I ain't never assaulted nobody that y'all can prove. And because of that, now, I wouldn't, there's certain things, there's certain lines the character crosses as a teacher that I would never. Absolutely not. However, I walked away from the movie like, I understand his character so much, and I think that's kind of stereotype where I can see something so harsh and understand it. But I also live in Baltimore. Harsh things. Can I tell you about a little experiment?
Absolutely.
So when I brought up, I have this question that I asked a woman out of town, right? I once asked this woman out of town, I said, what do you do if I just pull out a gun? And she was like, I don't know what I'd do if you just pulled out a gun. That's kind of crazy. Why would you be carrying a gun and stuff like that? I asked 3 different women who live in Baltimore the same exact question. 4. I asked 4 different women who live in Baltimore same exact question. And all of them had the same exact answer. I said, what would you do if I pulled out a gun right now? They're like, I wouldn't carry it to hide it for you. One girl was like, oh, okay. Because the women in Baltimore are used to a type of life with men and a type of harshness that other women aren't used to. So something that seems violent and harsh to like other people outside of Baltimore is very, very normal to people inside of Baltimore. All that is to say, certain times I see harsh things and it doesn't bother me because I grew up in a harsh environment. I didn't see things that would make a war vet sweat. And it wasn't shook. I saw my first dead body of a kid in the back alley. I was picking out the trash. I seen my second dead body down the street from where I lived. His head was leaking, his head halfway off the dash. I seen my first gun at 5. I had a cop pointing the gun at me at 16. And these are things that I didn't realize were scarring me. I just thought this was what I was supposed to be as a black person. So there are certain harsh things in this world that aren't that harsh to me. And because of that, Whiplash is one of my favorite movies.
That's amazing. How do you personally cope with that? Because I think I think it's important to ask men these questions, because I realize a lot of the times I do tend to not ask men these questions about how they cope, because I think we all assume that men just naturally do, which in essence men do naturally.
So, hold on 1 second. There's a very loud car coming by. Again. Jesus. And the eggs, mashed. I mean, they got mashed potatoes. I think. What I do specifically is, well, 1, meditation, 2, prayer, and 3, writing. Those become my forms of escape. Those become my form of like getting through it. When I try not to let people bother me, but also I remember what I'm here for.
Right.
And that helps as well. Like, once you realize what we do is higher than us, we've been given this gift for like a different reason. I don't know if people are spiritual or not, but I'm a spiritual person, and I believe that what we have is a higher calling from a higher being. And because of that, it doesn't matter what people send towards me. The way I take this energy and what I choose to do with it is cycle it into my mission. And my mission is to do things that are important. My mission is to get my message out there. My mission is to be the best poet possible and inspire and help my people. So what do they matter compared to the mission? I remember that, and that's how I kind of deal with it.
Word. And like that's in essence what we need to know. Like, honestly, I think why I wanted to touch on like asking a man personally what they do to cope is just because I think we hear things like from feminine people, from people like me who are like, oh, we do like the skincare and we do like body care and things like that, which are all important things, but I've always wanted to get a perspective on like a masculine presenting person on what they do when the outside world doesn't even know that they're processing all this trauma. And let's get it. We only got 7 minutes left. So I guess we'll just close, or maybe we might have time for 2 poems. But what do you hope to accomplish as a writer, or what have you felt you've already accomplished even?
What I hope to accomplish as a writer is taking spoken word somewhere it's never been. So many people who are spoken word artists, they make it as something else, and then spoken word ain't important. It's like, oh yeah, that's the secondary. No, spoken word needs to be the primary. I pray and I work to be the Dave Chappelle of spoken word. I want to be that representative. I want that Netflix special. I want to put spoken word on the map in a big way. Spoken word needs millions and millions and millions. We need to be on streaming services. People see that spoken can entertain you for longer than a spoken word can really be a sustainably entertainable thing. And I want to prove that. That's what I've been working for my whole life. That's what I'm writing for now. I'm coming up and conceptualizing all these ideas for shows, specifically so that I can figure out the way to market spoken word to a new audience, a new mass, and never has been marketed. And working because I wouldn't rather work hard at anything else. What else would I rather work hard to?
Bro, we're gonna be with you the whole step, bro. Listen, just contact me whenever you need somebody to like help you film, you feel what I'm saying, conceptualize. I'm there, bro.
It's coming soon. I made some
Literally,
connections.
say less, bro. Like, we with you, bro, because I think, like, no, I agree wholeheartedly. We have not seen spoken word in the light it needs to be. We've seen it in the whitewash versions of it, unfortunately. So, yeah, I'm definitely down for that. Yeah, but that's word. Like, I really am trying to, like, get out there with the spoken word stuff. So, I'm with that wholeheartedly. I think we have time for one more question. So, I'm going to ask you one last quick question, and then we're going to say peace to the people. So, the last question I think I'm going to ask is, what gives you inspiration as a writer?
Many things give me inspiration. I'll just go down the list. The number one inspiration I have is my ultimate fear is to die without being remembered. And because of that, I work very hard to make a mark on this world. When I say be remembered, I don't mean by like my family, by one generation, forever. I have that in my brain. I have to work very, 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 very hard. So that's my number one drive, to make an impact in this world that we have exists. Two, I have some people in my life that I desire to take care of. And I look at everybody with some three, if somebody can just, hey, that God is the best. We're talking a lot of top five, but whatever you up with just in, that's all I ever wanted. I just want to, yo, Jacob, I felt like a dead, be the one. I just want to, and I think the whole thing that is, some of y'all, the way y'all write, the style y'all write, and they come in, because I know that, like, I write better, and I don't know, it beats me being around these voters, being around voters, like, kind of ideas, and that's me, I'm not working with that.
I sure. Thank you, bro. All right, Jacob, I appreciate you taking your time out today to come and talk to us and chill with us a little bit, bro. It was good talking to you because I feel like me and you personally with you, bro. I appreciate you doing this interview for us. I want to thank all y'all for coming out and saying Jacob and showing him love. Continue to please show him love to all his socials. Check out his social media. Just support him constantly in his future endeavors and in his current endeavors. Again, thank you, Jacob. I hope things stay safe, please. I hope you're staying good.
No problem. I just want to say July 15th, I'll be going live on Instagram, Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube. Yeah. I'm doing a show called The Unauthorized Biography of Earl Simmons, spoken word retranslation of DMX songs. So I'll be doing 10 DMX songs as spoken word pieces that I've rewritten. And I'm actually trying to get it to DMX. Please tune in. The poems are crazy.
Whoa, got you, bro. We definitely going to be there. So y'all heard that. July 15th. Please tune in. And yup, put his Cash App down there. Help him out. Support a black artist who's doing things for the youth and going crazy while doing it. Literally, like, he goes stupid, bro. Like, support this man always, bro. I love you, Jacobs. Thank y'all so much for tuning in with us. All right, y'all. Peace out.